Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB game scheduled for Saturday, September 21st, 2024. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily rundown best bet in the MLB, or my college football plays for Saturday, you can find this at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Saturday in Major League Baseball. First up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Cincinnati Reds. We're going to see a pair of young pitchers in this one, Jared Jones and Rhett Lauder, 23 and 22 years old. These are the future of starting pitching in baseball. And, Jones put together a strong rookie campaign, but he did struggle a little bit in that last game with his control. 3 walks and 6 base hits against the Royals, 2 runs given up in only 4 innings. And while the Pirates still won that game, I am a little bit worried about him in this spot because Jones is making his first start in his career at Great American Ballpark, which we know often considered the second most hitter-friendly park next to Coors Field in the league, and it's not an easy place for young pitchers or any pitcher to go to. I think that, Lauder so far, his first 2 starts at Great American against the Astros and the Brewers, 10 1/3 of 1-run ball with 9 strikeouts. Yes, his control was a little bit off in those starts, but he's pitched well through his first 4 games, and I'm going to go with the Reds in this one on the money line. It's a close one for me. I think it's going to be more of a coin flip than anything else, but I'll go with Cincinnati on the money line. Next up, we see the Washington Nationals taking on the Chicago Cubs. Mackenzie Gore and Kyle Hendricks are your starters. A lot of people say, Ron, you love those Nationals. Why do you back them so much? The reason being, they've been a profitable team this year. I mean, despite a losing record at going into Friday, 17 games below 500. They are a profitable team. If you bet the Nationals every single game from the beginning of the season to now, you are up. You're in the profit, and you can't say that for most of the teams in baseball. So for me, I mean, in this spot, you got Mackenzie Gore pitching very, very well. His last 5 starts, 2 earned runs or fewer in all 5 of those games. You look at Kyle Hendricks, he's got an ERA above 6 on the season. Yes, he's been better as of late, but he's not really pitching that deep into ball games consistently, and I still don't trust him as a starter. I think he's better as a reliever. So I think the value lies with Washington in this game. So give me the Nats on the money line. Next up, we see the Detroit Tigers taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Reese Olson and Kate Povich are your starters. Povich pitched pretty well against Detroit last start, 5 innings, 2 runs, 8 strikeouts, and the Tigers have not been great against lefties in the month of September. A 30.3% strikeout rate is one of the highest in the league, and a 581 OPS is also near the bottom of baseball, 122 isolated power to go with it. I think the Tigers struggle in this one offensively, and Reese Olson, his first start back against KC wasn't great. It was 2 1/3 of 4-run ball with a home run and a walk given up. He had 3 strikeouts, but I think that Povich is the better option in this game. I think the Orioles have the better lineup, and I'm going to go Baltimore in this one on the money line and run line. Next up, we see the Atlanta Braves taking on the Miami Marlins. We got Max Fried for Atlanta and no official starter for the Marlins. Now, the Marlins have faced Max Fried 3 times this season, twice at the very beginning of the year where he went and combined, it looks like 15 1/3 innings of 1-run ball. So excellent work, a complete game shutout along the way. And then 1 start on August 4th, so more recently, he did struggle quite a bit, giving up 5 earned runs. But that was his first start back from injury. He hadn't pitched at the major league level since July 11th, and the next start was August 4th, so about a month. And we know that Fried, at the beginning of the year, was also returning from injury. He also struggled there. I'm not really worried about Fried, though, in this particular spot. So far in September, he's been solid. 19 innings, 21 strikeouts, 3.32 ERA. And he's facing a Marlins team that in the last month has not done anything special against left-handed pitching. 29% strikeout rate, 529 team OPS, a 69 isolated power. They are struggling. I'm going to go with the Atlanta Braves on the run line on the road. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the Boston Red Sox. We got Pablo Lopez and Cutter Crawford on the mound. Pablo Lopez, he's got an ERA below 4 now on the season after a pretty tough first few months. I mean, in the month of September thus far, he's got a 2.25 ERA, 20 innings of 23 strikeout ball, and the Twins have now won 5 of his last 7 starts, so he's been a profitable option. Cutter Crawford in the second half of the year has given up a lot of sharp contact, a lot of home runs and extra base hits. I mean, the last 2 games combined, 4 home runs against the Yankees and Orioles, 7 earned runs to go with it. The Red Sox have not won many of Crawford's last few games. They've lost his last 6. I got to go with the Twins in this one on the money line on the road. Next up, let's head to the big NL East rivalry between the Phillies and the Mets. We got a pair of lefties on the mound in this one, Ranger Suarez and Sean Manaea. Now, both teams have hit lefties very well in September, but I think Manaea is the much better option in this game. He's been in great form since the All-Star break. Really looking like a new pitcher. Earning a lot of strikeouts, and the Mets have won a lot of his games recently. Ranger Suarez, we know he's battled some injuries. He had an amazing start to the year, but just hasn't looked like that same pitcher recently. You look at his last 2 starts against the Brewers and the Rays, 10 1/3 combined, 16 base hits, 7 earned runs, 5 walks to go with it. I got to roll the Mets in this one on the money line at Citi Field. Next up, we see the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Yariel Rodriguez and Taj Bradley are your starters. Yariel Rodriguez was struggling towards the end of August, but so far in September, while he's not pitching deep into ball games, he's pitching really well. 2 earned runs given up in his first 3 starts combined, so it's a 1.46 ERA in the month. And the Blue Jays, we've talked about how well they've been against right-handed pitching in the last 30 days. They are crushing righties near the top of the league in OPS, ISO, WRC+, and a low strikeout rate to go with it. So I got to roll with the Blue Jays. Bradley just hasn't been as dominant as he was towards the end of the first half. Since the All-Star break, just hasn't been the same pitcher. Had an ERA above 10 in the month of August, and so far 4.67 in September. Give me the Blue Jays in this one on the money line. Next up, the Seattle Mariners taking on the Texas Rangers. Emerson Hancock and Max Scherzer are your starters. Now, I do think Scherzer is the better option to start this game, but just slightly. He is coming back from an injury, and his first start back against these Mariners, he only went 4 innings, gave up a home run and 2 earned runs to go with it. Ended up being a Rangers loss in the end. And while I don't love Hancock, I do think that he'll be able to go 5 decent innings, hand it over to a strong Mariners bullpen. And I think the Mariners have the better lineup, believe it or not. This is a Mariners team that offensively was really struggling at one point, striking out left and right, but they are healthier in the lineup now, and they're doing some more damage, and certainly now in the mix in the AL wildcard race. So I like their chances to find a win in this one. Even if they're down early, I think they find it late. Next up, the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Houston Astros. Reed Detmers and Ronald Blanco are your starters. We talked about how Reed Detmers was pitching really well in his first couple of starts back at the major league level, but that last game against Chicago, the White Sox giving up 7 earned runs, 3 home runs, and 3 walks. That's the worst offense in baseball, and to struggle against them, now to have to face the Astros, who we know are strong against left-handed pitching. It's just a really bad matchup, in my opinion, for LA, and we see the Astros as a big-time favorite, so really not a ton of value, but I still think the Astros win this game and cover the run line, maybe lay 2.5 runs as well. Next up, we see the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. We're going to see Aaron Civale and Merrill Kelly on the mound. Kelly's been inconsistent recently. He did pitch well in that last game at Coors Field. It was 6 innings of 1-run ball. It's tough to know what you're going to get from Kelly in this game, but the Brewers have not been great against right-handed pitching in September. They're 24th in baseball in team OPS, and their strikeout rate's going up a little bit. So that's a concern for me. While you look at the Diamondbacks, they're number 4 in team OPS against righties in September. They face Civale, who is pitching well since he joined the Brewers, but is still giving up a lot of home runs. We know that that's been an issue for him in his career. 27 home runs given up this season, and at least 1 in 4 of his last 5. I'm going to roll the Diamondbacks in this game on the money line on the road. Should be a great game. Next up, we see the San Francisco Giants taking on the Kansas City Royals. Landon Roop and Brady Singer are your starters. Singer's had a nice season this year with a 3.53 ERA, but it does look like he's running out of gas a little bit. When you look at the control in the last couple of starts, 7 walks given up in 10 innings, and both of those games were on the road, and we know that Singer's been better at Kauffman throughout his career, but even when you look at his last 2 home starts combined, 10 2/3 against the Guardians and the Phillies, giving up 16 base hits and 7 earned runs, a couple of walks thrown in there, and only 8 strikeouts. I am a little bit worried with Singer right now, and the fact that the Royals have lost his last 5 starts, so he's not really been a profitable option recently. His last 5 and 7 of his last 8. Landon Roop's been pitching pretty well so far with San Francisco. 41 2/3 with 40 strikeouts. His last couple of games as a starter were 10 innings of 2-run ball against tough lineups in the Brewers and Padres. This is a game where I think the value lies with San Francisco. The Royals have had a great season. They soared over their win total, but I just think they're running out of gas right now. So give me San Francisco. I'll take the 1.5 runs and money line. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Matthew Boyd and Miles Michaelis are your projected starters. I like the over in this game. When you look at St. Louis's numbers against lefties in the month of September, pretty solid there. And Matthew Boyd, last couple of starts, only going 4 1/3 and 2 2/3. His control's been off a little bit. He's given up a good amount of base runners, 11 base hits and 5 walks in those last 2 starts, which only spanned 7 innings. So that's a concern for me right off the bat. But Miles Michaelis has not pitched well at Busch Stadium this year. He's got an ERA above 6 at home this season, 6.54 with 74 and a third innings. Very steep opponent's batting average. Cleveland, we know, a very tough lineup. I like the over in St. Louis. Next up, the Chicago White Sox taking on the San Diego Padres. Chris Flexen and Martin Perez are your starters. Now, Chris Flexen here at the last 2 starts combined 11 innings of work with only 2 runs given up and 14 strikeouts against the A's and the Red Sox. 2 victories for the Chicago White Sox, but I still think this is a tough matchup for him against a Padres team that has been solid against righties this year, and they do such a great job at limiting strikeouts. We know Luis Ariz went a full month without striking out against anybody, so this is a tough Padres lineup, and Martin Perez, since joining the San Diego team, has been outstanding. He's been a completely different pitcher, very profitable option for San Diego, and against the White Sox team we know has suffered against left-handed pitching this year. I think Perez can go 5-6 strong innings. I like the Padres to win this game and cover the run line, maybe lay 2.5 runs as well. Next up, we see the New York Yankees taking on the Oakland Athletics. We got Carlos Rodon and J.P. Sears on the mound. Now, when you look in the month of September, the fact that the A's actually have the better numbers offensively against lefties is one thing to maybe, benefit Oakland in this one, but I still think Rodon is pitching really well on the other side for New York, and Sears has been pitching well in the second half of the year, but been a little bit inconsistent. We saw him struggle in that last game against the White Sox of all teams, and now you face a Yankees team that has been able to get to you. In 61 career plate appearances against the current Yankees hitters, they have a .529 expected slugging percentage, and a few of their key right-handed batters like Gleyber Torres, Giancarlo Stanton, and of course Aaron Judge have hit home runs against Sears in their matchup. So I would definitely look at an Aaron Judge home run or a Stanton home run in this game. I think the Yankees win it and cover the run line on the road. Next up, we see the Colorado Rockies taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Cal Quantrill and Walker Buehler are your starters. Now, I might be tempted to take Colorado in this game because I've backed Cal Quantrill plenty of times this year, but he is struggling right now with his control, a lot. He's given up 11 walks in his last 2 starts. That's just not going to be good against the Dodgers. We know, this is a very tough lineup. They will take advantage if you're giving them free passes, and I just think Quantrill just not in good enough form for me. I think LA gets to him early and often, and this Rockies bullpen. But the thing is, Walker Buehler on the other side has not been pitching well this year, so I could see Colorado chipping in a few runs, maybe take a look at the over in this game. But by the end of it, I think it's going to be a lopsided win for LA. I'll lay the 1.5 runs with LA. And that's it. Those are the games for Saturday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and put those baseball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.